Hello everyone, my name is Sachin and I'd like to share my first project with you. This project is a CLI application in Ruby. A CLI is a command line interface application, and if you think back to the days that I can definitely remember, I'm not sure how old you are, but using ATMs or a gas station interface back in the 90s, we had these nice prompts that came up and we could type responses, and that's basically similar to something that we're building here. We're building an interface for the user, and what we had to do for this project is pull some data from the website that our user could look through. So what I chose to do was I went to the Chicago Blackhawks website. I'm a big hockey fan. Go Hawks, and I decided to pull some player data and pull some bio information from the Blackhawks website, and I'll show you that website in a second. But what I thought I would do here is first I'll run the program, and we can see the user's perspective of what the finished program looks like. Then we'll take a look at some of the code, and then we'll take a look at the website and see how we pull some of that data. Okay, so to start off over here, we're going to call our command to run the application, and it's going to be ruby bin and backslash, and my file name is Hawks. And we'll take a look at that file right over here, which is running all of these nice things for us. So I'll go ahead and hit enter, and this is what the user sees. So it welcomes them with this nice greeting. Welcome to the Chicago Blackhawks CLI. Here's a list of current players. And it pulls all of this player information from the website, and I'll show you that in a second. For our user, please enter a number from the list below, and they can choose any number they like. Let's go to that first one. And it pulls this data from the next page on the website. Here are the details for Artem Anisimov, and it's got his position, his age, height, weight, and it's pulling this bio information, and I'll show you some of that on the website as well. The user can hit yes or no here to continue, so let's take a look at another one. Let's see, number 17. And so we get all this information for Duncan Keith following the same pattern. Next, if they want to continue, they can keep hitting yes, and they can keep entering numbers. If they happen to enter a number that doesn't exist on that list, it's going to say invalid entry, please try again. They can then enter a valid number. Let's try, I don't know, 19. And we'll get information here on Connor Murphy. And then you can, at any point, hit N, and we'll exit. And it says thank you and see you next time. So that's the basic program, so that my user could see all this information on the current Chicago Blackhawks. So let me just pull it back up to the top here. Here's that menu. And so over here on the side on the code, you can see that, remember when I ran this program, ruby bin backslash Hawks, it's pulling up this program. And what I'm doing here is I'm requiring the libraries that I need, and it's this CLI.rb, scraper.rb, players.rb. You can see them down here in the libraries directory, and we'll take a look at those in a second. Then I have these gems that I need to run this program, which are OpenURI and Nokugiri. Both of those we're using to first to use an open command just to easily type in an HTML link, and then this Nokugiri is helping us store and parse through all of that data and find exactly what we want here, which were the player last names, and I'll show you that in a second. And then I found this colorized gem, which was great to add this bold red color to the background of the text and make everything bold and white. Otherwise, it was kind of dull, and honestly, it wasn't easy to read, so I'm really glad that I found that, and it was easy to implement. And then finally, we have this require pry, which I'm quickly learning is a developer's best friend. Pry helps us debug our code. It helped me go into very specific points in that Nokugiri information and find exactly which element I needed on the website. And I can show you what I exactly mean in a second. And then finally, we're running this CLI.new.run, which is going to run this CLI command. So let's take a look at that. So over here in the CLI class, I have all of these methods, and each one of these is going to help with all of this user interface that we saw here. So this is a good place to start. So it opens with this run command, and it says to place a header. If I scroll down here, at the bottom, I had this header method that I added, and that's what we see here. Welcome to the Chicago Blackhawks, and that's what the user gets to see. So it's going to run that header, and then back up here, it says here's the list of players. And that's what we see right here. And if you notice here, there's this .colorize method right at the end. So this is that colorize app that we were talking about. So it allowed me to add this white text color, which I think was the default, but it looks nicer anyway. So I left it like that. I made the background red for Blackhawks colors, and we made it bold so that it shows up nice for the user. So very cool little gem. Definitely recommend using that one. Then next we have this scraper class being called, and we'll look at that code in there, and it's running this scrape Blackhawks roster method. And then it's going to display player names, which is this command here that's telling it to put an index number, and pulling the player name from a variable that we're storing. That we'll look at, and again I made it bold. Then we have our menu options. Please enter a number from the list, which is down here. And then, if they make an invalid entry, this is where it tells them to do that. But the gist of it is down here in this scrape profile. So here we're pulling, here are the details for our player's full name, our player's position, player.age, player.height, player.weight, player.bio. So that's all of the information that the user got from the second level of the website. So let's take a look at that scraper class next, which is where a lot of the cool stuff is happening. So in here, I've got a couple of variables that we set, NHL for the NHL.com website, which we use at the second level. And then there's this roster, which is pulling the first level of the website, which pulled these names that make this list. So to do that, we use this open command that the OpenURI gem gives us, and then we can create a doc variable and save all of this Nokugiri HTML information that we just passed into from this variable, so that we can look through it. And that's where pry comes in. Without pry, I don't know if I would have made much sense out of all that Nokugiri. There's a lot of information there. But with pry, you can go in and you can use specific calls like this over here, .name call. And this is, it's listed, it's a class name. It's the name of the class in an HTML element on the website. And I was able to use these kind of tags to find what I needed. And so let's take a look at the website and we can look at how that works. So here we have the Chicago Blackhawks website, and this is their roster page. And some of these names might look familiar. These are the same names that we're pulling over in our app. Let's take a look at that again, right? We have Anisimov, DeBrincat, Kempf, Kunitz, right? Brandon Saad, they're all there. And then that's what we're getting from the website. So the website is taking these elements. So how do you do that? If I right click on this one, and I use this awesome inspect tool, so Google Chrome game built in with all these development tools, and you can see all this HTML information, and as I move around it highlights different things, but specifically, right, we were looking at player names, and I can look, here's Alex DeBrincat, and inside all of this, here's the name, the text for the name that I'm pulling in my app. And if you look, these are tables, right? Here's Anisimov, he was the first player. If I scroll up here on the page, you can see him there, there he is. And up here, there's that class equals name.call that we use to pull, basically, go through all of the players in this list and give me their last names is what I told the code to do. And then if we look at the second level, let's go to Anisimov here. Ooh, let's close that for a second. Then here you have Artem Anisimov, and here's his position and height and weight and age. I was able to pull that information. And then down at the bottom, I found this nice bio information. And let's take a quick inspect look into that as well. And so if I can highlight that text here, it's down here. So you can see this class bio short class name, and then there's this paragraphs in here, and it has all the text that we want. Back over here, we can see this bio information being printed for Anisimov. It's the same from the website. And that's actually just getting called down here. We saved it in that same class name, bio short. We're searching in that same class name, and we're grabbing that text. We're stripping out all of the other extra junk, and we're saving it in this variable called bio, which we're calling in that CLI class. Hey, I want the bio, right? So give me the player.bio. And finally, the last library over here is the players class. And what that's really doing is this is where we created all of our variable names for all of that data that we wanted. It's storing all that data. It's getting that URL information. It's saving it all in these nice arrays that we can go through and pull from for the user to experience. So that's a basic rundown of this application. It's my first application. Sorry if I'm rambling in this video, but I'm pretty excited to have completed it. I hope this was informative. Thank you very much for listening. Happy coding.